All right, so this is just a little addendum on our lesson about geometric sequences. I'm going to do two different types of problems. You'll find them in the last little section of your homework and also possibly on the quiz. But what if I give you, what happens if I give you just like a random term and then also the first term? Can you basically just figure out all the other aspects, which really all the other aspects is if you can figure out the rate, that's good enough. So if I give you a random term and the first term, can you figure out the rate of a geometric sequence? Basically, what we're going to use here is we're going to use our explicit formula, right? And our explicit formula says a sub n equals a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. So using that here, this is going to be 1024 over 9, just like before, equals 27 times my rate, which I don't know, to the power of n minus 1. But since I'm using a sub 6, n in this case is 6. So this is to the power of 6 minus 1. Here we go. So what we're going to do then is we need to get rid of the 27. So we're going to divide both, to get rid of this 27, we're going to divide both sides by 27. So if I divide this by 27, it goes away. And dividing this by 27 means just putting it on the bottom of the fraction. So there we go. So now what we have is we have 1024 divided by 27 times 9. So if you need a calculator, get that out and do 27 times 9. 27 times 9 is 243. So we're going to 243 down here, and that's going to equal r to the fifth, right? 6 minus 1. Now, how do we get rid of this power of 5? Well, what we want to do is we want to take it to a inverse power, basically, right? That gets rid of the 5. What would that be? That would be 1/5. Because a power to a power you multiply, and 5 times 1/5 is just 1. And so that's why this side of the equation just becomes r. Now, we have to do that to this side of the equation, which I don't expect you to be able to do in your head. So get out a calculator, put a parentheses there, 1024 divided by 243, and take it to the power of 1/5, like so. And we get a fraction, well, decimal, but just change that into a fraction, and we get 4/3. So my rate is 4/3. These answers should almost universally be pretty nice, you know, like a reasonable fraction or something like that. So if you get a decimal that can't be turned into a fraction, more than likely you're going to be wrong. All right, so let's try another one. So the second one here, I give you the 8th term, but I also give you the rate, and then I say, okay, well, what's the first term? Well, what you could do is you could actually just work backwards, right? To get the 7th term, I could divide by 5. To get the 6th term, I could just divide by 5 again. To get the 5th term, I could just divide by 5, and I can work my way backwards. So that would be reasonable. Or an easier way is, again, to use the explicit formula. So in this case, 9,375 equals my first term, which I don't know, times my rate to the power of. Again, since I'm using the 8th term, my rate is going to be to the power of 8 minus 1, right? N minus 1, n being 8, since that's the number I'm using on this side. This now gives me, oh, I don't know why I didn't put the rate in. The rate is 5. So 9,375 equals a sub 1 times 5 to the power of 7. Well, what is 5 to the power of 7? That is 9,375 equals a sub 1, that is an a, not a 9, a sub 1, times 78,125. So to figure out your first term, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to divide both sides by 78,125. 78,125. That, you know, cancels these two things. And so I get a sub 1 equals, get your calculator out here, and your calculator should be 9,375 divided by 7,800 78,125. That again is a decimal, but turn that into a fraction, 3/25. So my first term is 3/25. So that's kind of how you do the last couple of problems on that homework. Hopefully that helps. All right, thanks.